let's bring in our Beirut correspondent, Layla Malala Allen, who is standing by. Layla, frustrations at this political stalemate and at these economic woes continue to be violently aired.
Indeed, yes. So it had been mostly quiet today. We'd seen quite a quiet morning, and roads that had been blocked for much of the week were open once again. But just in the last half an hour, we've seen this large group of protesters come to one of the entrances to Nejma Square. That's where the parliament is in downtown Beirut. Those entrances have been blocked off for the last 3 months. They've been blocked with 3 different layers of permanent metal barriers, as well as barbed wire, constantly staffed by riot police. And today, this march that started as a very peaceful march during the day through the streets of Beirut has gone down to Parliament, and now, as you say, they're using both tear gas and water cannon to disperse those protesters. And that's really what we've seen over this past week. Is before Christmas, the majority of these protests were peaceful, occasional clashes with riot police when things got a bit out of hand, but for the most part we weren't seeing that much violence. Now in the last week we've consistently seen violence every single day. We saw lots of banks being smashed in Hamra in West Beirut, which is a big banking district. We've seen the use of tear gas again and again by riot police, very heavy-handed tactics. Both Amnesty and Human Rights Watch coming out and saying that the security forces in Lebanon are hugely overstepping their mandate in the way that they're dealing with those protests. And what's happening is we're seeing smaller groups of protesters now, not the hundreds of thousands we were seeing in the street before, but several thousand every day, blocking roads with burning roadblocks and fighting back against riot police for the first time. Protesters say they're sick and tired of what they see as these politicians using the security forces who are supposed to protect the Lebanese people actually against the Lebanese people. That is the opinion of protesters. So we're seeing it every single day. We've seen it every day this week. Protesters said a week of wrath starting on last Tuesday, until a new government, was formed by the parliament, but still no sign of that.
Now, as you just mentioned there, Layla, away from the streets, many people are still asking, of course, what's actually going on in the corridors of power with the formation of this new cabinet still delayed?
Yes, absolutely. So we were told here in Beirut that there would be a new government on Friday. Now, it took a long time, firstly, for a new prime minister to be nominated by the parliament after Saad Hariri stepped down on the 29th of October, saying that he could no longer do anything to try and meet protesters' demands. Finally, on the 17th of December, Hassan Diab was nominated as the new prime minister. He said, "Give me 1 month and I will give you a new cabinet." That 1 month hit yesterday, and still no cabinet. There was news that there would be one, and at the last minute, more political wrangling again, more political infighting meant that it didn't work, and there was again another disappointment. And meanwhile, with no cabinet, with no government, as protesters see what they see as politicians playing games to try and score points within the parliamentary power sharing system on the streets, a huge economic crisis worsening by the day, people losing their jobs, salaries cut in half, the value of the currency has gone down by about 40%. And what that translates to for many people who are working between dollars and Lebanese lira, both of which are used in the country, is a 35 to 40% rise in their daily shopping baskets. They cannot pay for daily necessities anymore. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay for their heating and their electricity. It's very cold and wet in Lebanon at the moment. People are really, really suffering. And as I said there, what they see Parliament doing is simply arguing over the nitty-gritty of who has slightly more control, which of these parties has their man in the cabinet. What they want is an emergency government to come in and solve this economic crisis and do something to stop the incredible difficulty people are suffering in their day-to-day lives.
OK, Layla Malala Allen, our correspondent there in Beirut. Thank you very much.